911. Where's your emergency? Okay, what's the address? Everything's okay.
Christopher charmed his way in. He saw that she was successful, had her own house, had her own cars, had her own money. You know, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
He told me that he was absolutely in love with my best friend.
She said yes! I've seen the pictures of blood smeared all over here.
I found a hole in the wall, right about the size of Kelly's head.
He really was fully committed to winning over Kelly.
He's charming. He's a chameleon. He could change anything about himself. All that manipulation, he's gonna kill somebody.
So that's a killing instinct. His job is for any threat.
When you are in that deep, dark space, you see it in their eyes.
He's loving what he did, and to her, it's like a trophy to him.
Hi, you've reached Kelly Sutliff, licensed professional counselor. I'm unable to get to the phone right now.
When it comes to love, betrayal is the death of 1,000 dreams. And the unraveling of countless lies. You can spend years picking up the pieces, examining them, rearranging them, digging through the past to make sense of it all. Navigating through my personal heartbreak took me back to my roots as an investigative journalist.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Chambers.
Elizabeth Chambers outside the Los Angeles Police Department.
It ignited a curiosity inside of me about love that fractures.
Oh my God.
Inflicts lasting trauma.
Hi, I wanted to see if I could ask you some questions.
Absolutely not.
And can lead to tragedy.
And that's when my world ended.
I feel that it's part of my calling to meet with the victims, the survivors, to listen to their stories, show how it can happen to anyone, and expose the truth. I'm Elizabeth Chambers, and this is Toxic. We've all found ourselves in difficult relationships that have left lasting trauma. I've connected with countless people who have endured traumatic and tragic relationships. The costs can be immeasurable. You can lose so much, but the worst thing you can lose is your voice. And when you lose your voice, you need others to lend theirs to you, to your story. That's how I connected with Christina Henschel. Her best friend Kelly married a man who, on the surface, seemed like a knight in shining armor. But deep down, he was a manipulative monster.
It's Christina Elizabeth Marker, soft sticks.
Christina, tell me about when you first met Kelly.
The way we met is actually a very interesting story. I had a best friend, which I thought was a best friend. Kelly had the same friend as well, and we all met for a Batagua brunch, which is like a boozy brunch where you dance on tables. And the very, very, very long story short, we found out that this same exact best friend that we both had was sleeping with both our boyfriends. So then there's this camaraderie, right? When I first met her, I was thrown off because I didn't know where she came from. I walk into her house and she has a beautiful home that she owns by herself. Single woman, beautiful. She has her own practice. When she was dating online or dating through friends, I would always warn her, don't ever let anybody come into your home because Kelly was successful and they walk through the garage, they see a Corvette, your very nice jewelry, or your mother's crystals sitting there. From my personal experience, I find that's when men, they start to take advantage of you.
How did Kelly meet Chris?
She just went on the dating website and got to know him. She told me that he once was in the Army. Kelly was super excited. Chris was good looking, empathetic, successful.
When did you first meet him in person?
I met Chris about a month after they started dating. I was enamored by Chris. I found him to be charming. He was fascinated by Kelly and was absolutely in love with Kelly. And that's exactly what anybody wants for their best friend. When Chris told me that he was going to propose to Kelly, obviously I'm super happy. When I said I'll plan to come as well, he said to me, it's only family. So at this point, Kelly, I am basically her only family. I felt he was controlling our friendship, that I wasn't even allowed to be there. I asked Chris just to videotape it for me so I can at least see it.
Yay! She said yes!
It was a very intimate wedding. It was absolutely beautiful. That night, we were sitting down having dinner, and we all start just having this, free conversation. Chris made some sort of comment that then sparked for me to say, well, I married her first. Because Kelly and I did this fake ceremony thing when we decided we would become best friends, where we wore our old wedding dresses and had a fake ceremony. And when I made this joke, and it was just a joke, because not like there's real paperwork, he made a fit, he got up, he stormed out. He didn't finish half the rest of the dinner on his wedding day.
That definitely sounds like a bit of a red flag.
It was a red flag for me, for sure.
Did you notice her beginning to change at all?
I could not tell you how much our relationship changed when she married Chris. Before Kelly met Chris, I was up at her house every weekend, every other weekend. 8 months went by after they got married, and all that time, maybe 4 times, I got to see Kelly. Being able to call her on the phone and hearing her voice, that was basically the only time that I knew she was okay. And sorry.
Kelly had it all. She had her house, she had her job, she had her career, she had her cars and her dog. But she was really manifesting that final missing puzzle piece for her. She wanted a partner. She wanted someone to share her life with. But she got married in 2 months, moved in 3, and she knew he was the one. When you know, you know. Chris ticked all the boxes. He was her missing puzzle piece until he destroyed her puzzle.
December 2019, I received a phone call from Chris. He was inviting me for a girls' weekend, and Chris basically was saying, I really want to do something special for Kelly. He told me, I'm gonna get you guys massages. And he made sure that when we got to the massage parlor that everything was paid for. He made sure that he put 2 umbrellas in the massage place because it was raining that day.
Thank you for the massage. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was really good. Okay, relax.
When we got back after the massages, Chris had a bottle of wine waiting for us. He was serving us wine. He knows how to work a room. He's charming. That was the last time I saw Kelly before the attack.
You. I loved you with everything I had. I wanted you to love me and take care of me like I deserve.
AV camera. They rolling. A Camp Sleep. Interview Dave.
That scene was described as one of the worst cases you've ever witnessed in your entire career.
Kelly was one of those, yes.
On that night, what did you see?
911, where's emergency?
That night, dispatch put a call out of an active domestic.
Okay, what's the address? Everything's okay. Sorry.
And so everybody just flew out of headquarters and just got right to the scene. I was the first at the front door. So I saw a big window in front, and I see this naked guy walking inside, going downstairs, and then he disappeared. Dispatch had said the guy was armed with a knife. We opened the door.
Get on the floor! Get down on the ground!
And there is a male. He was almost incoherent. He is naked and bloody.
Down on your knees!
He was on some sort of a rant, how he was in the war, how he killed people. He just was not following any of our commands.
Lean on your side, bud. Come on. I am leaning on my side. No, you're on your back.
Finally, we got him handcuffed. Inside the house, I saw every room was destroyed. There was blood on the walls, TVs pulled off the wall, tables overturned. The master bedroom was destroyed. It was probably one of the worst scenes I'd ever seen.
Once you looked around the house, what were your thoughts?
How did she survive?
My name is Kelly Sutliff. This has had such an impact on my life in so many ways. I've lost a lot of people in my life because of this situation. It has taken a really long time to get to where I am today, over 4 years. I am not a victim. I am a survivor. But I had no idea that things would get 10 times worse.
Hey, Bob, it's me. Just wanted to talk to you. I love you.
Right before the attack, what I remember most was his eyes were black.
I've experienced that. They go from crystal blue to just, it's almost like an out-of-body experience.
It's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
It's like a different person. Yeah. The eyes truly are the window to the soul. And when you are in that deep, dark space, you see it in their eyes.
Growing up, my mother always stressed to me independence was a strong suit, especially for a woman. She never wanted me to depend on a man. I went to school, got my master's. I am a psychotherapist. In 2008, I really wanted to be a homeowner. I put the majority of the money down from what I had saved over the years, and I've been in this house ever since. I also really had a great group of friends. I rescued this dog, Chester, who was such a big part of my life. I would say that I had it all. The one thing that I think I lacked over the course of my life was someone that I would consider a partner.
Tell me about when you first met Chris.
In August of 2018, I was on a dating app, and there was Chris's picture. His profile seemed interesting to me, so I swiped right.
What was your first impression?
I mean, he seemed amazing. He came across as intelligent. He was compassionate. He asked me a lot about me. My relationship with Chris moved incredibly fast. We got engaged December 1st of 2018. He moved into my house, and we got married January of 2019. Living with Chris at first was phenomenal. Chris used to always buy me chocolate-covered pretzels, as well as flowers, specifically white lilies, which were my mother's favorite flower. Chris and I barely fought. I had someone who I thought just was head over heels in love with me. So when I met Chris, I had just come back from a trip to Croatia. I wasn't feeling good. I might have gotten some sort of sickness over there. But then I got even sicker and sicker. I was getting some rashes, headaches. The hives got 10 times worse. I was tired all of the time. The doctors could not figure out what was wrong with me. I spent, honestly, a lot of my relationship with Chris in bed. But Chris catered to my every need. He would get me what I wanted to eat. I never got my own water. Chris always got me a water. You know, he would constantly tell me, I'm gonna have you at your best one day, so I love you even at your worst.
Things were moving super quickly. Was there a particular shift or moment when you noticed that things were changing in your relationship?
After we got married, things changed sexually. Our sex life in the beginning was good. Now, I was sick, so I wouldn't say our sex life was great. It was good for me being as sick as I was. But then he wanted sex more and more and more, even if I wasn't feeling good. He also started to push boundaries. For example, after oral sex, I did not want to swallow his ejaculation. There was an incident that happened to me Years prior, I was 20 years old, and in a club, I was drugged, and I was forced to perform oral sex on someone, and that person ejaculated in my mouth. Early in our relationship, I was very upfront and honest with Chris and told him that's not something that I'm open to doing, and he was okay with it. After we got married, that became something that was important to him. And he would say to me, well, if you really loved me, you would do this for me. So then I did it. And then that wasn't good enough. It was, I didn't initiate sex enough. So I would initiate and he would turn me down. December 16th, 2019, I was up in bed watching TV. Chris was passed out. And the way he fell asleep in bed with his phone was so bizarre. And I had just a nagging feeling of, And I remember my gut, something said, look in his phone. I found a ton of messages with a woman who I had no idea who she was. They were incredibly sexually explicit. And the worst part of it is in these messages, he was so incredibly demeaning about me, basically saying how he's not in love with me and how I'm a drug addict and I'm abusive. They were just filled with all of these lies. I was horrified. And I remember thinking, this is not the man I married because my husband would never do that. So I wake him up. And then I just very calmly started reciting some of those messages, and his face just dropped. He said nothing to me, and then just walked into the bathroom and got into the shower.
Chris is calling nonstop, like call after call after call. He explains to me how Kelly's going to kill herself. I get off the phone, I call Kelly.
But I was not remotely suicidal, and Christina knew that, and Chris knew that. And then I hear him try to open the safe. My gun was in that safe. Luckily, I had changed the codes to the safe. I hear Chris come running down the stairs. He's naked, and he gets up into my face and he says, thanks so much for always having the ID channel on. Because now I'm gonna make this look like you tried to murder me. So this is the room. He ran down the stairs and he met me right about here and got really close to my face. I noticed that he had cut himself, and then he took his wrist where most of the blood was coming from, and then he put his blood all over my face, my hair, my chest. And when he did that, the minute he stopped, I took off.
Kelly walked me through what was a night of terror for her. Chris physically attacked her.
He threw my head into the sheetrock wall.
Into this wall. And then began creating the perfect crime scene to make it look like Kelly had destroyed her own home while trying to kill him.
The picture that I had on this dresser, he lifted it over his head and he slammed it on the floor. And he said, why'd you break the picture, Kel? And I looked at him and I said, I didn't, Chris, you did. And he smirked and he laughed and he said, see what I can do?
It was surreal walking through what was once this incredibly gruesome crime scene. Chris strangled her until she was unconscious 3 times and held a military knife to her throat. He completely destroyed the house that Kelly had worked so hard to build.
So this is a bathroom where Chris filmed himself.
All I wanted was more sex. I wanted you to love me and take care of me, like I deserve. Right? Isn't that kind of normal? Guess not.
Was he naked throughout the whole attack?
Yes. And then he took off, so I just booked it. I grabbed Chester, I sent him down into the basement, and I took off.
We need an ambulance and cops. My neighbor across the street just came banging on my door.
Is she hurt?
She's hurt very bad.
As I was in their foyer, I looked out the window, and I saw Chris smearing his blood over the bay window, and then I saw Chris walk towards the basement, because that's where I hid Chester. But I was not gonna let that man kill my dog. There was no way in hell that he was gonna lay a hand on that dog. That dog was everything to me. The door was halfway open, like this, and Chester was right there, alive. So I just slammed the basement door shut, and I heard Chris screaming bloody murder. And I looked to my right. I knew the police were there, and I just started screaming, please help me.
The night of the incident, we transferred him to a VA hospital.
Chris was treated for his self-inflicted knife wounds. They ran several different psych evals, but ultimately had no conclusive diagnosis. A few days after the attack during his hospital stay, Chris actually called Kelly and left a voicemail. It's absolutely chilling, and you need to hear this.
Hey, Bob, it's me. It's been a few days, and just wanted to hear your voice and make sure you're okay, and talk to you. I love you.
It's so incredibly creepy. This was days afterwards, and there was no remorse. I love you, call me back, as if nothing had ever happened. After he was released from the hospital, Chris was arrested, and he was charged with strangulation and aggravated assault. But I was horrified to learn that because of a New Jersey law that eliminates bail for first-time offenders, Chris was able to walk out of jail the same day. Detective Lippman put it very plainly to me.
If you've never been arrested, I can go steal a car right now. I can walk out of that police station today.
So you get a free pass?
Yes.
So we have a potential killer walking free.
Look, I have kids, okay? I have taught my kids that bad guys go to jail. And that's what I spent my entire life doing. But, it doesn't always work out like that. Just because I have probable cause doesn't mean you're guilty. It's my job to get all that evidence and produce it through the prosecutor's office to make that burden of proof. You could do a huge, thorough, and complete investigation. You hand it on a silver platter to the powers that be, and they turn around and say, no.
A woman's life and his next victim is currently in danger.
Yes.
Chris, please let it go.
So what would it take for a domestic violence abuser to go to jail?
Someone getting killed?
Walk me through what you were feeling with Chris out on the streets.
I felt like I wasn't safe. I had no security. So I got my dogs, who are both protection trained. They really saved my life in so many different ways.
Can I pet him?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hi, Luca.
Say hi.
He's beautiful.
I know, babe.
So we specifically bred him for Kelly.
How confident are you that this dog can protect her and keep her safe?
I mean, I would bet my life on it. When you see him going, you're not going to come in.
Good boy. The actual attack was awful, but I would take the physical abuse I endured that night over the emotional abuse that I have had to deal with almost every single day since this incident. When I came back to the house,
There's your phone. Whose phone is it?
I found Chris's phone. And what I found was horrifying. Hundreds of pictures of me just sleeping. That I have absolutely no recollection of him taking. I found a video in his phone where I am passed out and he is masturbating to me passed out. Another picture is he's kissing me while I'm sleeping. And he's smiling. It's the creepiest picture I've ever seen. And then I remembered. There was an instance early in the marriage where in the middle of the night, I woke up and jumped out of bed because Chris was inside of me. I was like, what are you doing? What? And he's like, oh my God, I thought you were awake. I was like, I was not awake. I thought that was a dream. It wasn't a dream. So then everything started lining up. How sick I've been. I think when Chris would go make my water, there was this powder that I would put in my water, like to give it a little bit of flavor. When I saw all this stuff in his phone, it clicked in my head. Chris has been drugging me and raping me in my sleep.
I mean, it's disturbing. It's weak. This is a man who the only time he feels powerful is when she's comatose. Kelly has control of the home. She's the breadwinner. That can already feel emasculating. The only space in which he could demonstrate control was the bedroom. This is about sexual control, and it's about the fact that he completely lost control on every level.
I brought the phone to Detective Littman. I said to Detective Littman, please don't give him back this phone. Like, there's so much on it, you need to see. And I remember saying the same thing to the prosecutor's office.
Kelly had made me aware that she found videos and pictures of Chris sexually assaulting her. Kelly has no right to go into that phone, so the chain of evidence was tricky. I needed search warrants.
Apparently, the Hanover Township PD had to return the phone to Chris until they were able to secure a search warrant. And guess what happened?
By the time my search warrants were approved, everything was deleted from the phone.
So I went and I made the official report at the police station about him drugging me and raping me. And then the police went through some drugs that they confiscated in Chris's closet. They found a medication that is used for breast cancer.
The report showed 2 different medications. They were tamoxifen and mammofen, both medications used to treat breast cancer.
And every doctor that I spoke to said whatever Kelly experienced and described, those drugs would have put an effect on her like that.
That medication causes the exact symptoms that I was having.
But trying to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt is extremely hard because I don't have a blood test to prove that she was given those drugs.
Do you think that he was drugging her?
Yes, I do. But just because I'm convinced doesn't mean that the prosecutor's office is going to be as convinced as I am.
I was really upset that he wasn't going to be given charges for the sexual assault. But I knew at least he had a ton of charges from the actual attack. And I was told that the strangulation charge would likely probably end him up in jail. These are the letters that Chris left me.
It says Four Seasons Resort Maui.
That's where we got married.
So he wrote these to you, presumably on your wedding weekend, brought them home to give to you on your 1st and 10th anniversary?
Yes. But after the attack, he and his lawyer had set up with the police for them to come to the house to get Chris's stuff. Chris popped the lock to my spare bedroom and left these 2 letters for me to find.
To my bride, today is the happiest day of my life. I sit here in room 806 thinking about you. Our love is the greatest accomplishment in my life, and I can't wait to grow old with you. Always and forever, your husband, Chris. Why do you think he left you these letters after the attack?
I think he thought maybe this will get her to drop everything and come back to me. She'll read this. They're very sentimental.
He's very thoughtful, very symbolic.
That's what makes him, I think, so charming. People say to me, how did you not know? This is how I did not know. This is how I did not know I was dealing with a psychopath. Following the attack, Chris started stalking me. There was so much damage to this house that I had to live in a hotel for 2.5 months. One day, Chris was sitting in the parking lot, and the minute I opened my car door, Chris flicked his lights to let me know that he was there and then sped off. I eventually moved back into my house, and the situation just kept getting worse and worse. I woke up one morning and I let my dogs out in the backyard. And Chester beelined it, and I saw he's eating something. I'm thinking, what the heck is he eating? So I run, and covering my lawn are chocolate-covered pretzels.
Which was one of Chris's favorite treats.
Chris used to always buy me chocolate-covered pretzels. The calculated mindset of this man. Not only do I think Chris might have been trying to kill my dogs, but he also was sending me a message like, I can get to you. I can't tell you how many videos I have of cars slowing down in front of my house, turning around in front of my driveway. I was convinced he was gonna come back and kill me. It really makes you paranoid.
I was there every weekend, basically. We feared every day that he was gonna come to her house.
So we would do checks of her house. The patrols would be driving by her house on a constant rotation, just, make a presence.
I was constantly looking over my shoulder. I didn't leave my house for over a year.
Please let it go. You win.
At this point, no one has actually caught him in the act of stalking you or harassing you.
No. I was petrified. There was nowhere I was safe. When the stalking was going on, Detective Lippman really believed me. The prosecutor's office, I'm not sure if they took me seriously. Around 5 o'clock on a Friday, as I was locking up the front door, all of a sudden, I heard like a little bell ring.
Chris?
Around 5 o'clock on a Friday, as I was locking up the front door, all of a sudden, I heard like a little bell ring. As I'm walking down my path to my car, I hear a truck, and I look behind me, and it was the police, and they came to take my gun away.
Kelly had been a gun owner for many years. In 2019, while at a shooting range, an instructor told her that her 20-bullet magazine was no longer legal in New Jersey and that she had to buy a new magazine that only held 10 bullets.
He says, you have to get rid of this magazine and get a new one. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, absolutely. He's like, yeah, it's a felony, you could go to jail. I told Chris, and he said to me, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Do you think he ever took care of it? No. Chris and his lawyer went to the prosecutor's office, and before a judge, had me red flagged. The police came and took my gun away.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. Sure. Take care of yourself. Yes.
That was really traumatic. I felt like you just took away my safety.
Chris tattled on her. He told the prosecutor's office, hey, my wife has a high-capacity magazine. She breaks the law. She's the bad one.
From what I was told, I am the first domestic violence victim in the state of New Jersey to have had their gun taken away from them.
So he's now using the law to get to you.
And it worked. It worked completely.
The prosecutor's office wanted her criminally charged for that high-capacity magazine. And I told him, you can do it, I will not.
Chris's goal was to try to get me to back off so I would not want to go to trial. But I stood my ground.
He was manipulating the system to show her in a bad light and make him come out like the shining knight that he alleged he is. He just manipulated everybody there.
He knew exactly what he was doing. This was mental warfare, and it also showed that there is no stopping him and there's no limit as to the lengths that this man will go to make Kelly feel completely powerless and unsafe. Thankfully, the prosecutor's office decided not to prosecute Kelly for what would have been a felony gun charge. So looking back at the relationship, did you see any red flags?
I definitely see the love bombing. He was too much, too soon. On the second date, Chris told me that he loved me, and I can remember when he said this, my heart dropped. There were times where I'd say to my friends, he's too nice. Chris is just too nice. And everybody would say, Kelly, you're just used to dating jerks. Like, this is what a guy is supposed to be like.
And do you feel that he loved you that deeply?
No. I think it was a complete facade. I think that's what he did to lure me in.
As somebody who was cheated on multiple times in my marriage, I think the overriding sense and feeling is doubt and trying to figure out what part of your life and this person and everything is a lie.
I see the red flags that I missed or even rationalized. He told me all of his exes were crazy. Every single one was insane. They were addicts, they were alcoholics, all of them. Why would someone lie about something like that, especially your husband? Why would he lie about something like that?
So Kelly starts looking at everything in hindsight and really starts analyzing what she thought she knew. She brings on a private investigator and realizes that Chris had at least 3 ex-wives.
I said to my private investigator, I would love to speak with them. Let them know that I am not interested in dragging them into any of this mess. I simply need to know what they went through with Chris.
You need to figure out if he's done this before.
I think part of me wanted to know I wasn't alone. And I think the other part of me wanted to know who I was dealing with. I thought that he was a first-time offender, but I was very wrong.
Tell me what you learned when you spoke to Chris's exes.
They opened my eyes to what I was really dealing with.
For the women's protection, Kelly didn't want to reveal too much about the ex-wives, but she did share some of the similar behavior that they experienced.
I am not alone. Chris has been abusive to each and every one of them. Chris has been escalating. I think it's the worst that it's ever been with me, but he definitely has a pattern.
I tried to connect with Chris's ex-wives, but as soon as I brought Chris's name up, nobody wanted to talk to me.
His most recent ex-girlfriend, she showed me the proof that his Wi-Fi password is the date he assaulted me and destroyed my home.
He set the date to the attack of her, huh?
The Wi-Fi password is the date of the attack with
It's
an exclamation.
12/16/19.
With an exclamation after it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think that he's not sorry that he did anything. Every time he enters that password, he's loving what he did because he's reliving that. It's like a trophy to him.
From what I can tell, the prosecutor's office didn't even use any information about Chris's ex-wives in building the case against him. On paper, Chris was being treated as a first-time offender. And unfortunately, it's very rare for domestic violence cases like that to go to trial. So the prosecution offered him a plea deal several times as they approached the trial date.
Anytime the plea deal was offered to him, he was turning it down and turning it down. For a while, the prosecutor's office, they were trying to get me to drop the aggravated assault by strangulation. But I was ready to testify as to what Chris did to me. I wanted to go to trial.
With every single wife, he's becoming more calculated and more strategic. He's only learning.
Absolutely.
With each woman.
And I think it's getting worse, and I'm afraid that there's gonna come a day where a woman is gonna die at his hands. And if I didn't go forward with the charges, I feel like I'd be at fault for what would happen to the next woman. When I spoke to all the wives, I said that I was gonna hold him accountable for all of us.
At this point, it's been almost 3 years since the attack. Talk to me about going to trial.
We have all this evidence against him. This is a man who assaulted me and did $63,000 worth of damage to my home.
You.
I'm ready for trial. I am ready for trial. But then at the 11th hour, he decided to take the plea deal so there wouldn't be a trial.
And what was Chris sentenced to with the plea deal?
The final plea deal, Chris got 3 years probation.
I had to run all my charges through the Morris County Prosecutor's Office, and it was their determination not to put him into jail. It's so frustrating. I feel bad that she doesn't really get closure. You know, she feels victimized all over again by the justice system.
3 years probation, no jail time. It's sickening. It makes you wonder, how bad does it really have to get for the system to actually stand up for a man or a woman or anybody in this situation.
I think not only was it a slap in my face, but I think it was an injustice to everyone in this community. One day, he is going to kill somebody.
Kelly was building her life, and then someone came in who she thought was going to be the final puzzle piece, and he destroyed it. When you find out that you've been betrayed and that your reality is not necessarily your reality, you may not ever give your heart to somebody because it's been shattered in a million pieces. But eventually you emerge from the triage state and you're stronger as a result. Kelly's going to tell this story and help as many people as she can. She's an advocate, and I believe that her work is just beginning.
I think I'll always be at risk, but I'm no longer ever going to be silent. The best thing that came out of my situation with Chris is my dogs. Chris took away my freedom, and Stella and Luca gave it back to me.
I love that.
I just feel like I'm unstoppable.
This season on Toxic. Are there patterns in toxic relationships that you see over and over again?
There are patterns.
This ex-girlfriend of mine has it out for this woman because she hates the fact that I'm not with her anymore.
Gaslighting, love bombing, isolation, and bold-faced lies.
I was taking medication. It may have influenced me to do something.
Is this control? Is this coercion? Is this manipulation?
My girlfriend, I think, overdosed. I'm trying to resuscitate her right now.
I want to find the truth.
Hi, how are you?
He needs to be exposed.
You wanted to believe him.
I wanted to put my family back together.
He's a doctor. He couldn't be poisoning my daughter, can he?
Take to ask you some questions.
Absolutely not, no.
Anthony. Oh my God.
To this day, I still can't get justice.
That is burned in my brain forever.
Every fiber in your being was like, this is not an accident.
I knew I was going to prove that he murdered my sister.